You decide to make a change, get in shape, make more money, learn how to make YouTube videos so you can quit the job you hate, or even get into a relationship so you're not spending Saturday nights alone. You're finally taking action towards your goals, but the results don't show up. I get it. It's tough. There's that cliche that says failure is the path to success. And it might make sense, but let's be honest. It's not that easy to make it work. I know that after Steve Jobs got fired from Apple, he went on to start Pixar. But I've got two things to say. First, I'm not Steve Jobs. And second, my failures haven't gotten me anywhere. Once Benjamin Barber said, "I don't divide the world into the weak and the strong or into successes and failures. I divide it into those who learn and those who don't." Clearly, I was in the second category. After some time, and with a little more maturity, I realized the problem is that we're bad losers. Two people get the same score on a test. One person sees it as a sign that there's something they haven't understood, at least not yet. The other person sees it as a reflection of their competence and value. How each person perceives the same situation determines how they feel and act. The first person stops to figure out where they went wrong. They don't take it personally. Instead, they seek to learn from their mistake and improve for the future. The second person feels awful. This leads them to seek out quick fixes that relieve that feeling. But over time, these solutions make them feel worse. We need to learn how to be good losers to achieve our goals. The first step is seeing failure for what it really is. Reality showing you a way that doesn't work. Once I understood that, I became obsessed with figuring out where I went wrong in my failures. My biggest struggle was that it wasn't always clear. That's why I started using the same method scientists use to test their theories: experimentation, the famous "let's try it and see what happens" approach. In this process, they always start with a question. Gregor Mendel, known as the father of genetics, wanted to know how traits in plants were determined. Through his observations, he came up with the hypothesis that traits were passed from generation to generation in a predictable way. To test his hypothesis, Mendel ran several experiments where he crossed peas with different colors and shapes. With the results, he concluded that his hypothesis was correct. A lot of the time, we don't understand where we went wrong for two reasons. We act without thinking about the underlying goal and don't stop to reflect on the results. This way we get stuck with the same results over and over. If you want a result, create a hypothesis about how to achieve it. Then, test that hypothesis in real life. And finally, reflect on your results. That's where the learning happens. Always ask yourself this: did you get what you wanted? If so, you found the right way to do it. If not, your hypothesis was wrong and you need to try something different. Keep testing until you find the right answer. I always remind myself that in order to get good at something, I have to be willing to be bad at it first. An expert is a person who has made all the mistakes that can be made in a very narrow field. They know the best way to do something because they've already done it every other way. What determines how long it takes to get good at something? The time between your failures. Let's say you want to learn how to cook. You get all excited and ready to make your first recipe, but when you get home, you realize you only have 2 tomatoes in the fridge. First lesson, plan and buy the right ingredients. On your second try, you bought everything you needed, but when it came time to add salt, you get a little carried away and your soup ends up tasting like seawater. Second lesson, to taste is less than a tablespoon. With each attempt, you learn something new. How quickly you get good at it depends on how fast you move between each try. If you want to get better faster, you need to fail faster. But I have to say one thing. Even if you can see the logic behind failure and find the silver lining, it still won't make it any less painful. Failing hurts. J.K. Rowling received 12 rejections before her book was finally accepted. If one rejection hurts, imagine 12. But that's where the difference lies. Some people are willing to go through the pain of failure to get what they want.
2008 was brutal. 2008 we had the third consecutive failure of the Falcon rocket for SpaceX. Tesla almost went bankrupt. We closed our financing round 6 p.m. Christmas Eve, 2008. It was the last hour of the last day that it was possible. We would have gone bankrupt 2 days after Christmas otherwise. And I got divorced. That was like rough, man. Women and scar tissue there.
Well, it poses a question, or maybe you just answer the question of why is no one else doing these things?
What's your pain threshold? Yeah. Well, if it's real high.
So the question is, how many failures are you willing to tolerate to get what you want? I've failed at a lot of things in my life, but I can't accept the idea of giving up. I always ask myself, if I stop trying, what other option do I have? So I keep trying, failing, and sometimes, just sometimes, getting it right. When I started, failures hurt more. It would take me weeks to get back on track. But with each failure, that time got shorter. One of the few certainties in life is that if we try something new, we will fail. So when it happens, don't label yourself. If we looked at Elon Musk in 2008, we'd have a different view than we do now. Failure is temporary. Don't make conclusions based on just one moment. You could be just one try away from hitting your goal.